Hello everyone and welcome back to Coin Bureau Clips. It is that time again. It is time for another Q&A. So thank you everyone for sending in questions on Instagram as requested. We've got quite a few through. So, as always, I'm going to do my best to answer them as quickly as possible, and therefore I can answer as many as possible, but you know me, I tend to ramble. So I'll do my best is all I'm going to say. Okay, so here are the first set of questions. RM City asks, do you hold any FIL, any Filecoin? No, I don't hold any Filecoin. That's not to say I don't think it's a great project. Obviously, it's had a bit of a tough time recently because it was deemed a security by the SEC. And there's been kind of speculation around that for quite a while before the Binance and Coinbase lawsuits were filed. So Phil is in that kind of odd sense of, it's still a bit in limbo. Obviously, the XRP ruling the other day kind of changed the game a little bit, but doesn't really change it for a lot of the other altcoins that have been called securities by the SEC. So, short answer is no. This is a good start, isn't it? Really long answer to a very short question. Short answer is no, I don't hold any Filecoin, but I wouldn't rule it out in future because I think data storage is potentially a big deal for the next bull run, and Filecoin does seem to be a pretty cool project, although there are obviously lots of rivals in that particular sector. It's getting kind of busier all the time. Okay. Andre Refaco asks, will the Fed hike more than just 25 basis points until the end of the year? Yeah, so as we record this, I'm recording this on Tuesday, the 25th of July, which means we have another Fed rate hike likely coming in the next couple of days or so. So the consensus last time I checked was almost unanimous that the Fed will hike again. So another 25 basis points looks to be on the table. That, I would imagine, will probably be it for the year, so long as the figures, the CPI and what have you, show that inflation is continuing to come down. If that CPI stays sticky, if inflation starts to tick back up again, then we can't rule out another hike. Basically, the Fed have said on many occasions they will hike until the job is done. So let's not rule it out. But my guess is this one coming up will be the last hike of the year. Let's hope so. Okay. What else are people asking? Will Bitcoin reach 25K? That's from Bitcoin Monu or Monu. It's really, I just wish it would go somewhere from 30K at the moment. It's just kind of hovering around there, isn't it? I think there's a chance that Bitcoin could go that low. I think probably it's more likely just to flap around where it is for the time being, But 25K is still a possibility. I know there'll be lots of people looking to buy at that level. Okay, Luca Hofstay asks, what is the meaning of live? Meaning of life, I guess you mean there, Lucas. The meaning of life. Gosh, how long have you got to accumulate Bitcoin? There we are. Not financial advice. Ryan Alford says, "Hey, Coin Bureau." Thank you, Ryan. As Saika Raman says, no question, just keep making the amazing content. These are all very easy. Thank you. Okay, Abdullah1303 asks, what leading narratives do you see for next bull run? DeFi, storage, talked about storage, interoperability, DeSo, decentralized social. I think, Abdullah, you've named 4 very good ones there. I think DeFi definitely has a lot of potential upside. Storage, I kind of talked about already. Interoperability is an interesting one for sure. Obviously, the only 2 altcoins that I hold beside ETH are DOT and Atom, both interoperability plays. So I think interoperability could be a big one as well. That's why I'm keeping an eye on Cosmos ecosystem, amongst others. Decentralized social, I think that could be a definite project for the next bull run. It's sorely needed. A properly decentralized social media platform is sorely needed. Obviously, Aave has been doing a lot of work in that regard. So let's hope that continues. I think people are going to become more and more mistrusting of centralized platforms, the likes of Facebook, Twitter, etc. Okay, another one. I think another narrative you've got to watch out for the next bull run is GameFi as well. Gaming is just huge, and I think when they make the transition, the successful transition to blockchain-based gaming, I think that's going to be potentially very big as well. Get a lot of people on board. Okay, Rehan Senaka asks, when the market goes down, like what happened 10 minutes back, how to check why? That's a good question, because I think there's nothing quite like opening CoinGecko or CoinMarketCap and seeing that everything's just tanked in the last hour or so. And it's natural to want answers then. So when that happens, I tend to go to a few trusted sources. So quite often I'll look on Twitter to start with. Obviously, there's a lot of nonsense on Twitter, but quite often you can get a sense there are some good people to follow on there. I've done a video about some of the best crypto Twitter accounts to follow. So I'll leave a link to that in the description. You can check that out. So Twitter is a good place to kind of get things in real time. Some of the crypto news sites are generally pretty good as well, so you can check them out. Cointelegraph is good. DeFi DL News, which is brought to you by the people behind DeFi Llama. That's a new site that I'm really enjoying at the moment. Maybe not the best for sort of what's happening right in the moment, but it's still worth checking out. And of course, you can always check on your Google feed as well. Although one thing I will point out is that sometimes, quite a lot of the time, the market's just crashing mainly because of liquidations, and you might be searching around for ages for a potential cause, and it's just because a lot of leveraged longs have been wiped out by a sudden fall. So I think a good tip as well is sometimes don't question it. Sometimes it'll just rebound back, unless it's something that unless it's some kind of FTX style disaster, which you then can't help but hear about. Okay. Simon3196 asks, as a UK resident, if I make any gains from investing in crypto, I think I know which one this was going, will I have to pay any taxes? Bad news, Simon, is yes you will. Now, if I remember rightly, HMRC tax office in the UK, they mostly charge it as a capital gain. But remember, you've got a capital gains tax allowance. It was £12,300, but I think as of April, it dropped to £6,000. So if you're making some mad gains, if those gains are over £6,000, or you've had other capital gains in that tax year, then you will be liable for UK tax. Just so as you know. They can also tax crypto as income as well, if you're receiving it as income too. So do be aware. A good place to check out Coinly, Koinly. They have a good blog, and I remember looking at something regarding crypto tax in the UK on that blog recently. So do check it out. Okay, DJA993, what's your thoughts on the month September being a historically red month? Yeah, this is something that Ben Cowan pointed out last week on NFA Live. I think he said a huge proportion of the last few years, September has historically been red, as you say. So yeah, let's not rule out the same thing happening this year. History doesn't repeat, but it does rhyme. And there are, of course, plenty of potential minefields out there in the crypto market as well. Plenty of macro things that can happen too. So be aware of those. I think there's certainly a good chance September could be red, along with so many other previous ones.
Sorry to interrupt you folks, but I have to let you know about the Coin Bureau deals page. My team and I have been able to pull together some of the best promos and discounts in the crypto space. We're talking trading fee discounts of over 50%, thousands of dollars in bonus airdrops, amazing deals at top exchanges, and reduced prices on hardware wallets, and much more besides. So just go to coinbureau.com/deals, also linked to below, and find the promo suited to you. And now, back to the video.
Tupperware door to door, wonderful name. Yes or no question, is bull market started? No, that was easy. Branko Gerbovich asks, what do you think the total crypto market cap will be on the top of the next bull run? So what did we get to last time? $3 trillion. I don't see why it couldn't go to maybe $5 or even $6 trillion. How concentrated that is in Bitcoin is anyone's guess. But yeah, I certainly think with the right conditions, the next bull market could be a big one. Should be a big one. Okay, Silent Killer XS asks, funny name, why is ETH not pumping despite such good news in the Ripple case? Well, as we kind of found out in the wake of that ruling, XRP was the big benefactor from that. So XRP now, along with Bitcoin, is pretty much the only two cryptos that have any sort of regulatory clarity over in the US. So even though it was kind of good news for the whole crypto markets in general, ETH is still, there are still kind of question marks over it. I still think there's a lot of institutions and other big investors kind of waiting on the side in terms of ETH. So I think there's still potential downside for it. But yeah, that Ripple hearing was kind of, in the end, turned out to be sort of more specific to XRP. Luke FN asks, are you happy? Yeah, I am. Thanks for asking, Luke. Lovely people asking after my well-being. Andrei Tokic asks, is life better in London or Dubai if you exclude taxes? That's a good question, Andre. I'm very much enjoying life in Dubai. It's certainly extremely different from London, mostly weather related. London has many things that Dubai doesn't, and vice versa. But at this stage in my life, having recently ticked over into my 40s, I do quite like the change of scene. I do like the fact that it's always nice and warm, or sometimes boiling hot in Dubai. And I just I like being somewhere else. I lived in London for pretty much all of my life up until last year, so I'm kind of enjoying experiencing a new place. So yeah. I don't think you should rule out relocating anywhere if you fancy it. Expand your horizons. Okay. Liam GG asks, why did you stop wearing shorts and started having proper pants for the Coin Bureau news? Liam, you're asking the probing questions there. The reason is I got a new suit, and the trousers of that suit fit a lot better, and I realised that probably make for better photos if I was actually wearing a suit rather than a suit jacket with some shorts on underneath. Plus, we've got the aircon turned up fairly. The temperature's a lot lower in here because it is so damn hot outside. Okay, right. Oh, here's a couple of exchange-related questions. One person's asking, what happens if you have fiat on an exchange and it goes under? Is it covered in some way? No. To the best of my knowledge, it isn't. So obviously, the moral of that story is don't leave too much fiat on exchanges. And obviously, you might say, well, I want to be able to buy the dip or take advantage of a sudden drop in prices or whatever it may be. That's certainly a reason that most people keep fiat on exchanges. What you could, of course, do is put fiat onto an exchange, turn it into a stable coin, and then take that stable coin into a custodial wallet. So you're controlling it, so it's not on the exchange. And then if you do see a sudden price move that you want to take advantage on, you can move it back across to the exchange. That is a way that's worked for me in the past. Because, if that exchange goes under, there's a chance that you'll eventually get that money back, but not for a long, long time. The Mt. Gox people are still waiting, for example. The FTX people are going to be waiting for a while. And Teuga says, what is the best CEX to buy our coins? Okay, lots of good centralized exchanges out there. Like I've just said, though, leaving money on a CEX is not a good idea. Self-custody is the way forward. So the best exchange for you depends on a few things. Firstly, if it has obviously support in your country, for fiat deposits and withdrawals, you should look to be using one of the big ones. And we've got a video on the top exchanges. I'll leave a link to that below as well. But generally sort of larger, more well-known exchanges. And obviously, you want to make sure you've got a fiat on and off ramp with that exchange. Okay, time for just a couple more. Ellie Kueri is asking, what is the trigger for you to start investing in the market again? A few people have asked me this recently. I want to see a general kind of improvement in sentiment. I want to see, or at least hear, news of possible sensible regulations coming in the USA and elsewhere. Now, we have had progress on that front in some countries. Europe's a good example of somewhere that is progressing towards sensible crypto regulations. But those could still be amended, and obviously the US counts for a huge amount of the market. So I want to see progress being made on crypto regulation, and I also want to see sort of easing of liquidity by the Fed, basically interest rates either at least pausing or ideally starting to come down, and I'll be looking for signs that the Fed is going to turn the money printer on again, which they will do eventually. And that is when prices should really pump. So I'd be looking for evidence of those two things. Okay, another person asking about some of the leading crypto narrative. Oh, that was Abdullah as well. I think you asked the same question twice, Abdullah, and you got it answered twice. Well, sort of. Crypto podcast recommendations. What have I been listening to recently? The one I've been enjoying most recently is Castle Island Ventures, the Castle Island Ventures podcast with Nick Carter, who is a very good source of knowledge. That's something I've been listening to quite a lot. So that would be my crypto podcast recommendation for the day, Castle Island Ventures. They do a good sort of weekly roundup, usually on a Friday, I think. Anyhow, okay, what is your favorite beer? Oof. I haven't drunk beer in a long time. It's not good for me. But I do like those canned. Is it Beavertown IPA? Oh, just very drinkable. Okay. Any other questions here that I... okay. Lots of people asking me to recommend altcoins. To be honest, guys, I'm not really looking at any alts in particular at the moment. I just don't think it's the time right now. But when I am looking at alts, I will let you know. Okay. And let's do one more. Lots of people asking for XRP predictions. Price predictions are the way. That way, madness lies. Here's a good one. Snapdoodles. Snapdoodless. I always get asked why Bitcoin is better than current fiat. Could you help explaining? Sure. So the problem with fiat currency is that governments can simply print more and more of it, and eventually this happens every time that currency gets devalued. No fiat currency lasts forever. And we're seeing that at the moment. This is why we've got such sky-high inflation in so many countries across the world, because governments turned on the money printer, they produced more fiat currency, and that fiat currency was devalued as a result. Now, the amazing thing about Bitcoin is that we know its exact emission rate. We know there will only ever be 21 million coins mined, and a lot of people forget just how many of those coins are kind of basically out of circulation. Either they're like the million coins sitting in Satoshi's wallet, or so many coins have been lost. I think they estimate somewhere between 3 and 4 million BTC have been lost since 2009. So that takes the total down further. So it's a provably scarce asset. We know its inflation rate. We know its issuance rate. It's trustless. It's not controlled by any one entity. No one can just go out and print more Bitcoin. The Bitcoin network is the most secure payments network in the whole world. Governments would love to be able to crack it. Hackers would love to be able to crack it, but they just can't. So there's a few reasons, but I think the main thing to take away is that fiat currency is just subject to the whims of governments and central bankers and will eventually get devalued. Bitcoin, however, is not. So there we are, folks. That'll do it for today. Thank you again for sending in those questions. Let me know what you think of this one, and we'll do another one very soon. And who knows, the next one may have a slightly different format. So keep your eyes peeled. Thanks for watching.